What's up, guys? Welcome back to Biopilot Arms. Today I have a excerpt again from my After Work podcast. This is the Democrats. They always say that registration doesn't lead to confiscation, but it does. And it's not just about guns, it's about gun accessories, gun parts, and safety devices. In this case, they want to ban silencers. So let's go ahead and jump right into that story. So, they have a bill right now to ban gun suppressors. Yes, you heard that right. That thing that's already highly regulated, that almost never gets used in any types of mass shootings or anything like that. Yeah, they want to take that away now and make it completely illegal. That thing that's literally only a safety device. Okay. So, for those of you who don't know, silencers are already pretty much illegal. The only way that you can acquire one is to go through a NFA paperwork process that usually takes almost a freaking year to get through to finally get approved, pay a $200 tax stamp, and then you can finally get the suppressor. And because it's an NFA item, there are a lot of places that you can't take it. Okay, so like you can't take it out of state without telling the government that you're taking your NFA item out of state, and you have to designate exactly which state you're going to, right? So like you can't take this on a road trip without telling them every state you're going through and getting approval and permission from the government. And then there are states that actually don't even allow NFA items at all, which is ridiculous. They're sitting here like, oh, we need more regulation. And then the federal government highly regulates an item, and they're like, we will not allow that. Anyway, so this already highly and here's the other thing before I say, so if you're caught with one of these without the paperwork, without the tax stamp, and hell, even if you do have that paperwork and you don't have it and you cross state lines or whatever, like you're looking at like a $250,000 fine, 10 years in jail, like ridiculous things for a hearing aid, basically. Like a suppressor, all it is something that muffles the sound to a more reasonable decibel level. It doesn't make the gun silent, okay? A lot of people think it does. And in a lot of European countries, it is actually required by law to use these while hunting because it is a hearing safety device, right? So they want to ban them because these politicians in DC think that a silencer basically makes a gun silent, and our gun laws are made up by people who know nothing about guns. So, United States Senator Tim Kaine, a Virginia Democrat, and Democrat colleagues introduced legislation to ban gun suppressors at the national level as an effort to improve law enforcement responses to mass shootings. Dude, most mass shootings are not done with suppressors at all. Like, come on now. And if they are, it's either some random person who just went insane who happened to already have one, or someone made one and owned it illegally. Like, the Help Empower Americans to Respond or HEAR Act would ban the importation, sale, manufacture, transfer, and possession of silencer suppressors devices designed to limit the sound and flash that follows a gunshot. Tracking and locating the sound of gunfire is a large part of shooting responses by law enforcement, Kaine said, and the use of suppressors can reportedly impact the ability of police and detection systems to find a shooter. Dude, okay, let me just address that really quickly. First of all, in a mass shooting, normally, you have no idea where the mass shooter is, or the police get there after the shooting has been well underway. So, like, let's take Las Vegas, for instance. He was shooting out of a hotel into a crowd down below. Because of the way that gunshots echo, nobody could figure out where he was shooting from. Even with the gun flash coming out of the window, it took people a long time to figure it out because of the way the echo happened. So, number two, a lot of the time when law enforcement responds to, let's say, a school shooting, for instance, when they show up, people can give them the general direction of the actual person. And they have to clear every room on their way to that location regardless. So this whole thing about, oh, well, you can find out where the gunshots are, and that's a BS argument. Can you sometimes? Maybe. But in general, there's so much chaos, it is very difficult. Number one. Number two, well, I already said number two, but okay, so number three, again, the suppressor does not silence the gun. It just makes it quieter, right? So if you're shooting at like 150 decibels, which is going to like knock your eardrums out or whatever, a silencer takes it to like 120, 110, which is still loud as hell. It takes it from like, I don't know, like a bomb exploding to like a jackhammer on concrete. It's still loud. So anyway, so Kane cited the use of a silencer in the 2019 Virginia Beach mass shooting that left a dozen people dead as a large part of the bill's inspiration. But like, again, mass shootings are rare as is, but then shootings with a silencer are super rare. He uses this one mass shooting, which is like one of only a couple that were done with a silencer. I mean, it's tragic, but trying to ban an item that's already super regulated, come on. So law enforcement nearby, some heard the noise, but they thought it was a nail gun or something like that because the silencer suppressed the noise. So the shooting was not discovered until pretty far into it. Lives could have been saved had that silencer not been used. Dude, you know how many times I've been outside and heard stuff that I couldn't determine whether or not it was gunshots or just fireworks? Like, yeah, could the cops have been like, oh, is that gunshots? But they also could have been like, oh, is that fire? Like, is it a car backfiring? Like, there's so many other things that they could have been like, oh, I don't know what that is, you know? So to say that they definitely 100% would have been like, oh, those are gunshots, no. Depending how far away they were, will have been what made the determining factor, right? You're saying that they were nearby, but that doesn't describe how far away they were. Like, what do you mean how far? Like, you know what I mean? Language in the bill carves out exceptions for law enforcement, federal personnel, and others working on behalf of governments. Of course it does, because it's rules for thee and not for me. Government gets to use it. Why would they need to use it? If the only reason that according to them, the only reason that the silencer is used is to lower the sound to hide from the police and to make it harder for the police to see them, why do the police need it? Who's going to be going after the police, right? And police have a duty to usually tell you who they are, and by that point, you know what I mean? Like, the police have no reason to use it according to them, but they carve out an exception for them for everything. That's because police officers sometimes use them when they're at the range, whatever, for hearing protection, because it is a safety device. Why it's on the NFA at all makes no sense to me. So, anyway, suppressors, silencers, and other firearm sound devices are not banned at the federal level, but they do require an NFA tax stamp and registration to own. According to the ATF, over 900,000 silencers were registered throughout the country in 2016. Okay, that's in 2016. I'm willing to bet it's probably like 1.2 million as of right now, right? The bill also authorizes the use of buyback programs for silencer owners to hand over their devices before the law takes full effect. Right there. It's not a confiscation. We need registration because, we need to know who has them. Oh, so now that everybody has registered them, and there's probably about 1 million of these things out there, now they know who has them. They don't need to do this buyback. This buyback is put in here specifically to get people who would see it as otherwise unreasonable to agree to it. So that silencer that you paid like $300 or $400 for, yeah, we'll give you a $20 or $50 gift card to like Home Depot or some bullshit. Yeah, here you go. Amazon gift card for $100. Like, that's what they're gonna do. That's what they always do with these buyback programs. They never give you the full value of what you paid for it. They expect you to turn it over and either take the card and be happy that you got a third of the value for your item, or just give it to them because we said so. And to all these people who are like, oh, well, we just need to register them. And then us going, dude, registration always leads to confiscation. And they're like, stop it with that slippery slope argument. This right here proves it. They're sitting here and they're going, well, we need to do a buyback before the law takes full effect. And we're putting this in so that way some people will agree to it who wouldn't otherwise. And then anybody who doesn't hand over their silencers to the buyback program, we're going to come to their house, take their silencer from them, and then sodomize them with it while we throw them in federal prison. Because we don't actually need to do the buyback program because we know every single person that owns a silencer because you had to register them. That is why I don't own one. That is why I don't have NFA items. Because I don't want to be on a list. Now, okay, I get it. Yes, I'm probably on a list somewhere, some way. The ATF probably has like 4473 records of something that I've bought. Okay, fine. But those records take a lot longer than the NFA records, which are just like boop, 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 searched. Right? So, and it's also kind of a principle thing. It's like I'm not going to willingly put myself on a registry. So again, if this were to pass, which again I don't necessarily think it's going to, because I don't think that there's the support for this, but like if it did, dude, you would see the ATF at your door going knock knock knock. Where's all those silencers that you bought legally? Because here's the thing: a lot of people that buy silencers have a lot of them. Like, once they buy that first one, they're like, well, I'm already registered. Might as well get a bunch. And so you could have people that have thousands of dollars of silencers. I mean, they've got like 10, 20 silencers, whatever. Okay. Let's say each of those are like $300. That's a lot of money. And now the ATF is going to come in and go, we're going to give you like $50 for each of these. You're going to get maybe like a couple $100, $800 back, even though what you've got is worth way more than that. And that's assuming that you do the buyback. Otherwise, the ATF's just going to show up to your door and then be like, oh, you're in violation of the law, so we're going to take all these from you, and we're going to throw you in prison for this thing that was heavily regulated, that was legal to own for, like, the last century. The government needs to stop. The Second Amendment says shall not be infringed. The NFA shouldn't even be a thing, but more so to the fact that this is already a highly regulated item. Why are they trying to ban it? Because it is not about regulating these items and allowing the Second Amendment to still be in place and just regulating them for safety. No, it's about getting rid of it completely in increments. First, they have you register it, saying, oh, well, safety. And then they go, well, now we're doing a buyback. And then they do mandatory buyback. And then it's, well, if you still have them, you're a criminal. And because you registered them before, now we know who to go and string up. So, this is ridiculous. I don't think it's going to pass, but if you live in one of these areas where one of your reps here is a co-sponsor, I'd write to them and tell them to knock it the hell off. Anyway, guys, that is it for me today. I know that this was not necessarily a really long after work podcast, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys all next week. If you guys like that video and you like freedom as much as I do, go ahead, like and subscribe, drop a comment down below, and go ahead and head over to rumble.com and subscribe to me there. That would greatly help me out, especially if, YouTube gets taken down for whatever reason. I wonder what that reason could be. They don't like guns. But that way, you, the viewer, will still be able to watch me and all of my patriotic glory should anything happen to my YouTube channel, because Rumble values free speech. Anyway, guys, as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.